So this is what I'm trying to explain to somebody that speaks Hungarian, so that they can explain to the owner of this property. He owns 2 lots here, and then he owns 2 strips here, and then there's other lots, small little lots. You can see another guy's building a house there. That's how big the house lots are off the road, Lillian. And then there's 2 little strips here, which go the full length, which he owns, and then he owns 2 lots there. So he has this whole area. Looks like, from what I heard from him. But you see there, he's lowered the property, the entire property. Well, at the highest point is my lowest point, our lowest point, over a meter and a half, like 4 feet, 5 feet. So this is not an official survey stake, but that's it. That one there with the tire, you can't see the little white flag, that's an official survey stake. And there's an official survey stake there, and I put the line through, and then my little posts, I just used it as a guide for planting. I painted that one red, even though I shouldn't have, because it's not an official one. But because it's just outside of the forest, I could see it. So, whatever. That's the property line. So you see, it would have went like that previously, before we dug it all out. Now it goes right at the property line, and you can see our land is already falling away. So what needs to be explained to the guy is, just like I can't plant a tree right here on the property line, I have to stay back a meter because I would impact your land. You can't dig 3 feet right to my property line and expect not to damage my property. You have to put back soil from this point out 1 meter, and then you can dig a hole to China if you want, as long as you don't, obviously you couldn't, because there's a limit to how deep you could dig, because you can't just dig a hole right here 60 feet deep and have this whole hill collapse. If you wanted to dig a hole 60 feet deep, you'd have to come out whatever the mathematics are, so that you didn't impact our land. You can see it's falling away. Now whether, maybe if you talk to the guy, he says, oh, I'm going to build a retaining wall here, or whatever it is, I'd like to know that, if that's the case. And it just makes it difficult, because like I've said so many times, this property is 6.79 meters wide. I just came here first time with the car after the fall shredding, and I got back to the back. I was able to do a 3-point turn, but I have to back up onto the neighbor's property, and I have to be empty. So that area I put in the spring, 6-8 inches, 10 inches of nice beautiful dirt, about 5 meters wide. The car is 1.79 meters wide, interestingly enough. So I measured it, 1.8 meters, and I built a little field there and planted corn, and the pigs destroyed it. And this area has just been what's washed out of there, and stuff I raked over and stuff. Some stuff I put down. What's the point of that? Oh, so my little laneway here is 1.78 meters wide. So I don't mind driving on that right now until we get this planted. So I come in through that little gap, get over there, back up, and I can, I can start, you see what I'm saying? And do a 3 meter wide strip here until I have to stop to get my turnaround, which, I lose quite a bit of distance this way because of that. Have to get emptied, like I said. I have to unload the trailer, then I can do the turnaround, and then I have 4 meters here that's I can't do anything with. The only thing I could do is turn around up there and back through here with a full load, right? So I'm assuming that I'm going to have to dump the stuff there and then do this with the Polonia. But the plan is here, you put a nice manure here and stuff, maybe some hay, maybe some chips if we have it. And just put chips here. I could drive in, I guess. Just chip this, right? Because the manure will leach. You know, it'll go downhill. It'll fertilize this. But the thing is, to make this property work, legally I can plant a tree 1 meter from the property line. So I plant a tree at 1 meter, 3 meters, and 5 meters. That leaves me 1.79 from that property line. And hopefully I can acquire that and then I could build plant another tree 0.21 or 0.21 meters from the property line, because it no longer is a property line because it's all one property. You see what I'm saying there? And then, you know, a larger area. There's some dead trees on the edge of that little forest. I've never measured it. I don't know how deep it is, but I'm gonna have to sack a bit of it to give me, that'll let me get this prepared, right? Give me a little more room for this turnaround foolishness. Because there's no sense planting that. So, like I said, here in this 1.8 meter gap that I can drive the car through, well, I plant a tree at 1 meter from the property line, then I've sealed myself off with the car and trailer. So everything would have to be done with the pony, and I have to drive on this beautiful dirt. I may just use this dirt. This is beautiful stuff. I haven't looked at it, but I got a nice cover crop in it. Like, we've made some beautiful dirt here. See the idea. I definitely don't need to fertilize this with this there. Just plant my tree, chip it, plant the tree, right? It'd be well fertilized. I don't want to just plant trees in this either. Seems like an awful waste to have a beautiful, you know, every square inch is perfectly fertile, like it's ready to go. Like I could grow cabbage, anything here, but because of the pigs, and no offense. But so, you know, it's done, whatever. We haven't quite run out of manure yet. I'd do that strip there, get that prepared. Then, like I said, either maybe this property becomes available, or I'm gonna cut a little swath there. There's another spot where I can turn around. There's already a little gap. I don't have to cut any other trees. I think also legally this 1 meter business from the property line. You know, here's the property line. I've already started it. If I don't do anything with the trees, that they come, right, and they grow up and they grow out and they overhang the whole property, I think I'm allowed illegally to cut a meter stuff. At least, you know, if I cut it back a meter, then, you know, by the end of the summer it's all grown out. It's even covering it into here, shading and overhanging. And that's the thing, this stuff is so thick that the stuff will grow actually laterally in order to get some sunlight, and it all gets choked. And it's just, you know, it's forest and land is meant to be managed, not dominated, but man is to have dominion over it. There's a big difference between domination and dominion. And this is just, you know, it's not hurting anything, but it's not in any way, shape, or form nearly as productive. It's not a negative situation where it's going backwards. You know, it's not even just staying still. It is slowly improving. Like, time on that scale, nothing needs to be quick. But for a human life that only lasts 80 years, they start doing something with their life when they're 45. You wanna take a hold and do something right here. Like, this is a beautiful source of mulch, or hugel beds, or, you know, whatever it is you want to do with it. There is firewood in it if you want to take the time to go through it. Some of it's, you know, this is all pretty thin stuff. So anyway, it's a bit of a ramble here at Kenderford. So that's my issue with this dude and that situation. Well, it goes as far as his 2 lots go. Basically, it kind of dies out here at these walnut trees, which kind of give us a bit of a break here. I'm sure he wants to keep them, I've done some mulching. They're not on our property. They will become part of my system. They can't possibly not be affected by what we're doing here. But that makes, at this point, unless he builds a fence or a wall or something, it does give me a little bit extra here. Which, you know, and this is the natural slope that occurred. Here, at this point, every point is different, of course. There, it kind of U-shaped this very small degree of arc. U-shaped at these two walnuts is where, that's again why swales, you know, my swales would be, you know, the property is 7 meters wide, my swales might be 12 meters because they would run sort of like that, you know, and then you couldn't just, you know, it's just not workable on this. If they ran this way, yeah, then I guess it would, but then, you know, same problem, access, thin property. That's why we have the Pannonia, and that's why it's so key to this operation. Anyway, this situation here, you can see it. He's undercut that, you know, from 1/2 meter here to 3 meters at that end. Now up in the forest, he didn't come right to the property line because he kept some of his trees there, which, you know, holds the. But he needs to fix that. It's our property is only 6.79 meters wide. He can't. Over time, this will erode. Like, you know, he's seriously impacting our property. He has to. Unfortunately, he did it. I wasn't here to stop him or explain to him what he's doing wrong. He's now going to have to bring the fill back or buy it or something, or build the wall, which would be crazy. Why anyone would build a wall? You know, I don't want to have an argument with the guy. It's just, there's no argument here. He's done something, you know, in error. You know, he didn't mean-spirited. He wasn't trying to steal my dirt or anything, but he's just made an error and he needs to fix it. That's all there is. There's no argument here. Anyway, if we had squash here, should do a little ponder through here. We had squash here, not the greatest crop ever, but again, it was a forest less than 12 months ago, so we got it a nice, and then it grew up again, not so much, and I dragged some stuff in and we mulched it again, so I got, you know, I got a nice little cover of mulch happening here. This is going to be absolutely fine for trees without a single thing. In places it was thin, I think I've explained this before, and I put straw there, you know, and that shredder just does a wonderful job shredding stuff, and just kind of makes a fluff on top. Really makes a nice, airy, you know, look, there's a worm. Just a little baby worm. So that, you know, and you know, they're big chips. But this would, we could grow trees right here directly in this. But I want to grow squash. The wild boar haven't bothered, and we're getting more people around, so they're less likely. I wouldn't plant corn again here, but I want to grow squash in between my trees. For now, you know, maybe we'll get a fence, plant other things. But, you know, I'm going to space the Paulownia 2 meters apart. So the first row, 1 meter from this property line, right? Plant the tree and then plant a row of squash. And then, you know, 2 meters to plant another row of squash is not, you know, whatever. We could squeeze in a little bit more, but we'll get 3 rows of squash out of it. We'll get 3 rows of Paulownias, you know, and kind of have little. I just want to maybe put strip. This 1 meter, I could put a small strip, say from 3/4 of a meter to 1.25 meters. Just put a little strip of manure down there. I could do that everywhere. And put straw here and carry it farther or whatever. Like, there's different options. But so as far as getting here and maintaining this property line and stuff, the easiest thing would just be to buy the property. It's only 6-7 meters wide, but at least it would let me do something there.